Good morning. My name is Charlie Hoke. My pronouns are he, him, and I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite you to fill out one of the visitor forms that are in the pews. Everyone present in the sanctuary today is welcome to join us in person, community time immediately following the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm that love is the power that holds us together and is at the center. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. I share this announcement. We still have some open spots for our all-congregation retreat on October 10th and 12th. This is a great occasion for new and long-term members of all ages, whether single, couples, or families, to play, talk, learn, and be together in a beautiful setting on the shores of Lake Michigan. Registration is open through Realm under Events. Stop by the retreat table at coffee time for more information. Now, Reverend Emily Gage is going to introduce our guest speaker.
I am so pleased that we are able to welcome Dr. Emma Farrell to our pulpit this morning. Emma uses they/them pronouns and is a seminarian at Meadville Lombard Theological School and a member of Unity Temple, and our congregation is sponsoring them on their path to ministry. They are halfway through their ministerial internship at the Unitarian Church of Evanston, which is where they are most Sundays, so it's a special treat to have them here. Emma had a previous career teaching college science and is the parent of two lively kids, a blues dancer when they can find the time, and science and math tutor and voracious reader. And they are currently working on a sermon and workshop series exploring artificial intelligence through the lens of Unitarian Universalist values. Welcome, Emma.
We're so glad that you're here with us today. I invite those of you here in person to take a moment to greet one another. All right, guys.
Unitarian Church of Evanston. Oh, is there just one? Just one that I know of.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big one.
It's big, yeah. Our chalice lighter this morning is Lisa. Lisa loves summer. She loves reading poetry in Spanish, and she is super happy that her friend Emma is here in the pulpit today. Please join with me in the words of our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Good morning. My name is Madonna Thielen. I'm happy to be your worship assistant for today. The question that Emma will pose today is, how do we keep showing up for justice for one another and for ourselves without burning out? This is a question that has been asked way too many times at Centro San Edmundo, where many of us volunteer, serving migrants from Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia, and sometimes our unhoused neighbors from Oak Park. How do we keep a sense of hope alive when we see masked men abducting innocent people off our streets and sending them to deportation concentration camps? How do we keep showing up when the tide of anti-immigrant sentiment is so strong that it swallows up human compassion and mercy? How do we keep believing that a revolution is even possible when we are rendered powerless again and again by fear or by authoritarian xenophobia? The questions are real. And this is the only true answer I've come to. We keep showing up because we believe in human compassion and mercy and refuse to give in to hatred and hopelessness. And we keep hope alive because of the incredibly strong witness of the migrants that we serve. Their hope for a better future. Their belief that they will find a place in this world free from the abhorrible poverty and violence that they experienced in the countries of their birth. Their unbelievably long and dangerous journey following that hope for freedom. These witnesses give us hope. They pressed on beyond distractions, beyond fatigue, beyond what would tempt them from the way of their journey, using the courage and light that they see in one another to give them the way to press on. Last week, a young mother came through the breakfast line carrying her infant. ¿Cuántos meses? I asked. Tres, she answered. Later, she returned to the serving line and asked, ¿Cuchara, por favor? So he handed her a spoon, which she took back to the table and used to scrape the banana that was on her plate to feed her 3-month-old infant. One of the volunteers said, "I've never seen that before." And I said, how survival teaches us. This young, vulnerable mother feeding her baby from the banana that somebody donated for the breakfast service was a lesson in hope for me. She kept pressing on, believing in a better future for herself and her daughter. I went over and asked her to hold her baby, which she gladly gave to me so she could finish her breakfast. And I thought, the long, hard, dangerous journey this woman took from Venezuela, and the violence and poverty she left behind were her teachers. She keeps the light of hope and love alive for herself and her daughter, and does so by using the light and love of the people around her. And so she teaches me how to find hope in community, a community of love, fighting one injustice one day at a time. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
Beautiful. Thank you for that, Madonna. Excuse me. It is so good to be back with you all. It is just such a joy. Our first song this morning is I'm Gonna Lift My Sister Up by Faya Rose Touré, and I want to give you just a little bit of background information about this song. This is a black gospel song. So Faya Rose Touré was born in 1945 as Rose Gaines, but in 2002 she abandoned what she described as her slave name to take a new name in honor of the first president of Guinea. Faya Ora Rose Touré, she has a considerable contribution to American civil rights in her time. She was the first black female judge in Alabama. She's also an activist, a songwriter, a playwright. She founded several museums, including the National Voting Rights Museum and the Black Belt Arts and Cultural Center. So this song comes from a person who is deeply rooted, deeply committed to civil rights. And I invite you to sing it with me now, if you would rise in body or in spirit. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. I'm gonna lift my sister up, she is not heavy. If I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, if I don't lift her up, I will fall down.
My name is Jay Cohen. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a member of the spiritual care team. Every week we say this is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. And one of the ways we live that out is by supporting each other through the joys and sorrows of our lives. If you would ever like for one of your joys or sorrows to be shared from the pulpit, we have a book right outside of the sanctuary you can write in before the service, or you can email us anytime at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. Also, please know that the team, any one of us is always here to be with you, to listen, to sit during times of joy and sorrow. You can reach us at that same email address. If you're in person, you can see our little blue heart on our name tags at coffee hour. We only had one item that was shared today. It was a joy. John Tandrich would like to thank everybody for the thoughts and prayers for his human resource meeting at Wright College. It went very well. So congrats to John. He's right down there. We know that many of us are carrying other joys and sorrows in our hearts. If you would like to honor one of your joys or sorrows, we invite you to come put a stone in one of the water containers around the sanctuary. The water ends up representing the love that's large enough to hold all of our joys and sorrows. We will do this spiritual practice in silence. Let us begin.
I thought a lot about all the things I could say about the events this week, but instead, I'm going to remind you of hope. Let us unite our hearts and minds in the spirit of prayer and meditation for these words from Julian Jamaica Soto. In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a north star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. Amen. Blessed be.
Each week, Unity Temple splits its offering evenly, one half supporting the work of the programs and missions of this congregation, and this week the other half will support migrant ministries of Oak Park. This interfaith ministry supports the work of Centro San Edmundo, which will be closing in October and moving to a smaller venue at St. Edmunds. And this move will curtail some of the services that we have offered. Primarily, we will continue the work of immigration support services and the work of supporting over 25 migrant families who have been settled in apartments. These families are navigating their way through the asylum process, and asylum applications plus all the legal costs can run into the thousands of dollars. Work permits have been raised to $550. Obviously, the migrants and their families need much support with these costs. Many of us who volunteer at Centro San Edmundo know how grateful these families are for the support and love they receive from you who donate to their survival. Directions for giving are in the order of service and on the screen. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
Our reading today is a poem from Rosemary Watola Traumer called Safety Net. This morning I woke thinking of all the people I love and all the people they love and how big the net of lovers. It felt so clear, all those invisible ties interwoven like silken threads, strong enough to make a mesh that for thousands of years has been woven and rewoven to catch us all. Sometimes we go on as if we forget about it, believing only in the fall. But the net is just as real. Every day, with every small kindness, with every generous act, we strengthen it. Notice, even now, how, as the whole world seems to be falling, it is there for us as we walk the day's tightrope, how every tie matters.
He caught a train from Alexandria, just a broken man in flight, running scared with all his devils, saying prayers all through the night. But mercy can't find him, not in the shadows where he calls, forsaking all his better angels. That's how every empire falls. The bells ring out on Sunday morning like echoes from another time. All our innocence and yearning and sense of wonder left behind. Oh, gentle hearts, remember, what was that story? Is it lost? When religion loses vision, that's how every empire falls. He toasts his wife and all his family, the providence he brought to bear. They raise their glasses in his honor, although this union they don't share. A man who lives among them, but still a stranger to them all. For when the heart is never open, that's how every empire falls. Lock the door and board the windows, and put the people in the street. It's just my job, he says, I'm sorry, and draws a check and goes home to eat. But at night he tells his woman, I know I hide behind the walls. She says, you're only taking orders. That's how every empire falls. The bitter wind blows through the country, and hard rain falls on the sea. If terror comes without a warning, there must be something we don't see. What fire begets this fire, like torches thrown into the straw? If no one asks and no one answers, that's how every empire falls.
Wow, Peter, that was perfect. Thank you. Oh, it is so good to see so many familiar and many new faces here. It is just such a joy to be back in this space with you all. A lot has happened since I was here last time preaching about a year ago. And I'm not just talking about the state of the world, though there's plenty to say about that. As Rev. Emily said, I've spent the last year in a ministerial internship at the Unitarian Church of Evanston. They call it formation when you're in seminary, and it is. It changes the way you see the world. It changes the way you see yourself and the unfolding of things and the relationships among all of that. And this past year, I've led workshops and sermons and visited hospitals and officiated weddings and memorials. I've stayed with families of these as they've said goodbye to loved ones. I've met people from all kinds of spaces, geographically, spiritually, economically, culturally, and more. And I found that, of course, people have a lot to teach if I can listen. And in my interactions with people, there are a few trends that I've noticed over the last year. Wherever they're coming from, people largely agree that these are highly problematic times, unsurprisingly. There is often a sense of powerlessness and overwhelm. That it's impossible to keep up with current events, not to mention the tasks of everyday living. Many are embarrassed by parts of our government, and I feel a lot of this too. I get overwhelmed and exhausted, like many of us. And what keeps me going, I've found, as we so beautifully heard about this morning in the sharing by Madonna, What keeps me going is being together with people, connecting, especially when it seems hard. When I'm with people who are honest about their struggle but show up again and again with love, it renews my strength and my faith in where we're going. And so this morning, I want to talk about keeping going when times are hard, especially when times are hard. Much like Reverend Roger, I like to name the hard thing as a starting place so we can start from a place of shared understanding. The onslaught of cruelty is relentless. Rash funding across many sectors. I did not know I was leaving a dying field when I left science for seminary. There's also corporate greed, ICE raids, misinformation campaigns, the manufacturing of crises for political gain, as we know here in Chicagoland, deep cuts to education, the silencing and scapegoating of marginalized people. It's exhausting. It just is, and I want to name that. I think the last time I felt so exhausted was at the birth of my first child. So go with me on this little journey of remembrance. It was 20 years that I knew I wanted a kid, and finally they were coming, but not soon enough. My doctor kept coming in to check on me periodically, and eventually he said, "I need to go rest." Must be nice. And when he came back the next day, 12 hours later, I was still going. It was 48 hours of labor. My blood pressure was spiking. I hadn't eaten in 2 days, and it felt like my body was at the edge of what it could tolerate. And then finally, this baby arrived, slightly purple and stunned, and I put her on my chest. And my kid likes to tell this part of the story. They didn't cry, but I did. I wept with elation and fatigue and overwhelm. And after that elation passed, the exhaustion just swept back over me. And that's when an angel appeared in the form of a nurse. She offered to hold my baby for a few hours so that I could sleep finally. And as attached as I was to this little baby, I put my trust in this nurse. I let her take my most precious one, and I slept. That rest saved me. It let me return renewed and more able to bond and care for my baby. I couldn't do it alone. But another truth is that we are not alone. We can't do it alone, but we are not alone. We can take shifts for the revolution. I want to tell you about another revolution, a movement in Bolivia that shows what it can look like on a much larger scale. Thank you, Brian. The mural behind me, which I will butcher the name, but I will try, is called La Lucha por el Agua Continua. It's for the water war that happened in Cochabamba. The story is unique in some ways, but not in others. Unfortunately, there are many themes that we've heard over and over again. The preying on less developed, so to speak, nations through extractive capitalism. In the late 1990s, under pressure from the World Bank, Bolivia privatized the water system of the third largest city at the time, Cochabamba. And this was a multinational consortium led by the US-based company Bechtel. They took control of the water supply in the city, promising infrastructure development as they do. But what the people got were price hikes, steep ones. In some cases, families saw their bills increase by 300%. Even rural farmers using well water had to pay extra. Some families were spending up to a quarter of their income on this most basic need. And people were outraged, but more than that, they were scared. This was a basic human necessity, being held hostage from them. And so they gathered and they resisted. They marched, they protested, but there were a couple of remarkable pieces about the way they did this work. First, there was a coming together of people from all walks of life, from all different vocational and economic sectors. We had indigenous groups, labor unions, students, farmers. They all worked together, led by a grassroots coalition known as La Coordinadora. The ribbons of the mural, they depict the different groups of people coming together. But the people didn't just unite in protest. And this is the other remarkable thing about this movement. They built networks of care. They rotated responsibilities. They prioritized periods of rest and regrouping, and they paused when they needed to. They fed one another. They mourned together. They made art. They didn't just storm the streets day after day until they burnt out. They came together across vast differences to build something powerful, interconnected, and stable. Of course, the government didn't back down easily. Police were sent in, tear gas was used, protesters were beaten and arrested, and a few people were even killed. But the movement, bolstered by its interconnected mutual aid, sustained by periods of rest, endured. Not because the people were unbreakable, but because they were interdependent. They had each other's backs. After months of persistent strategic resistance, interspersed with vital moments of restoration and regrouping, the government ceded the contract. People reclaimed control of their water. They won. The lessons from this movement, as I see them, seem to be this. Do what you can. Do it in community, and take shifts for the revolution. This story can show us how to survive in unjust systems, how to resist in ways that are sustainable, and how to hold on to humanity and keep from burning out while we work for justice by leaning on each other. After my first child was born, I experienced that kind of support firsthand, not just from the nurse, but the minister came to bless the baby. My mother came to visit. I have this memory that will never leave my mind of her spoon-feeding me homemade custard while I nursed this baby. I think this was the first time in 30 years that she had spoon-fed anyone. People showed up how they could. A giant basket of gifts arrived from my congregation in Phoenix. People brought meals. And by the way, when I had my second child here in the Oak Park area, people from this congregation brought me meals too. I remember. So we took shifts for the revolution. That does beg the question, what exactly is the revolution? What am I talking about when I say that in this sermon? But I leave that up for you to decide. Deliberately, I leave it ambiguous because revolution isn't one size fits all. It might look like the Cochabamba Water War, or it might look like a fight against an unjust policy in your workplace or at the federal level. It could be a sweeping class-based uprising to transform political, economic, and societal structures, but perhaps it's a cultural shift even just in your own life. Maybe it's a shift that reimagines work-life balance to prioritize care over productivity and relationships over products. It can be a big change in a small part of your world, or perhaps the arrival of a newborn baby in your home. At its core, I think revolution is any profound change, one that dismantles the old to make way for something new. And we need something new if we want to build the kind of world we want to see. We are living through exhausting, overwhelming times. We are facing big fights, too many to name. Fights against many kinds of injustice, apathy, polarization, climate collapse, and more. And we're probably also facing our own personal revolutions in our lives, changes in our families, our workplaces, our bodies, our health, our hearts. Whatever your revolution is, global, intimate, or many in between, I want us to know deep in our bones, we don't have to carry it alone. We're not meant to. We do what we can. We do it in community, and we take shifts for the revolution. And showing up can look like so many different things. Maybe you march, but maybe that's not your jam and you prefer to make meals so that someone else can go march, or watch someone's kids. There are many different ways to show up and do the work. So I'm going to ask you to talk to each other for a few moments here. I would love it if you turn to each other, maybe groups of 2 to 4, and reflect on this. 2 questions. What's a need that you have that someone might be able to help with? And what's something you can offer to others? I'm going to give you 5 minutes, which won't be enough, but it'll be a starting place. So what's a need that you have, and what's something you can offer to others? Take 5 minutes, I'll watch the clock. because I'm sure 5 minutes is not nearly enough. But thank you for coming back, and thank you for placing your trust in one another. I hope we can continue these conversations at coffee hour after the service. Did you discover something that you could offer? Yes? Some? Did you find something that you could ask for? Okay, yes, good, all right. Did it feel good to name it to somebody? Yeah. Did you feel more connected to your community? Yes. Okay. My prayer is that we find the strength to do what we can, the humility to do it together, and the wisdom to take it in shifts. And Unity Temple, my spiritual home, I want you to know that you are with me wherever I go. You are always in my heart, and I love you all very, very much. So, let's do what we can. Let's do it together, and let's take shifts for the revolution. Ashe. Amen, and blessed be. And now I'm going to introduce the closing song. Number 1015, I Know I Can. Rest is resistance, and true solidarity lies in recognizing that our shared well-being requires us to prioritize not just action, but also the necessary space to replenish and care for ourselves and each other. It is my prayer for us that we all find the strength to do what we can, the humility to do it in community, and the wisdom to take it in shifts. Go in peace, go in love. Please join in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
So our closing song is in honor of Labor Day. Feel free to sing along. I think we're going to have the lyrics up on the screen. There's a originally a civil rights, sorry, I'm having trouble speaking. Please sing along. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. Voices raised together, we shall not be moved. Voices raised together, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We're on the road to justice, we shall not be moved. We're on the road to justice, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We stand and fight together, we shall not be moved. We stand and fight together, we shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. One more chorus. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water.